All right, so now that we have gotten this far, this is going to be kind of our base for our project. So we're going to use this little file a couple different times, okay? So what I want you to do right now, before you get too far, is that you're going to save 4 different versions of this. So we're going to do File, Save As, wait patiently, and we're going to call this one Warhol, or we're going to call this Square One. We're going to save that as PSD, desktop, cool. Okay, we're going to do it again. File, save as, and this time we're going to call this one Square Two. File, save as. Guess what this one's called? Square 3. Save. Okay. File, save as. Square 4. Save. Okay. File, save as. Whoa. Original. We're going to call this one the original. We're going to leave this one alone. This is our like backup file. Hit save. Okay. I'll just close this. I'm going to go to File. All right, now I can see all these dealios here. So I'm going to go to Square One. All right. So with this first one, remember, like I said, I want us to work as non-destructive as possible for this. For any of these squares, you can literally do exactly what I'm doing, or you can make, as long as you're using the same tools and that kind of stuff, you can, change colors and that kind of stuff too, which is totally fine. Okay. So in this first square, what we're going to do, we're going to kind of convert things to black and white and use a little bit of our pen tool and a couple other things. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go over to this world. If your world is not set up like mine is, it's totally fine. If you go up to this little icon up here, kind of looks like a toolbar kind of thing, a little screen. I'm going to go to Essentials. Okay, and if it still isn't looking the same, you can go to Reset Essentials. So what's going to happen is that you're going to show up with Learn Photoshop, so which is actually a really good tool. It'll actually show you how to do a lot of different stuff in this world. I've learned a lot of things by going this route, but for our purposes in this class, I'm going to kind of show you the things that I think we need to kind of learn on how to do this stuff just to get started out. Okay, so I'm going to go to the little hamburger here, and I'm going to go to Close. So that way, oops, sorry, I meant to do Close Tab Group. So that way I just have a little bit more working space. So now hopefully yours is set up just like mine. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to go into Adjustments, and we are going to turn this thing to go black and white. Okay, so you can see here, it is now, right, a black and white image. As I can change, and I can, like, the thing that's kind of cool about switching stuff to black and white in Photoshop is that each one of these things are each individual channel, right? So this is my reds. She was wearing a blue sweatshirt, so you can see I can literally just adjust the blue in there. Right, there's a little bit more of that blue, there's green. So if you want some stuff to stand out or pop, most human beings, no matter where you're at, is going to be primarily the reds and the yellows for like the facial tones and that kind of stuff. Okay, so the first thing we're going to kind of do is mess around with this, and you can have some stuff pop, stand out a little bit more. For this, I'm going to make her sweatshirt a lot darker. We also have magenta too. Let's see what happens with that. So that's kind of those tones. Cool. So that looks pretty good to me. And so I'm going to go back to my adjustment layers. And I'm going to add one more adjustment. Let's go with levels. So levels, this is essentially a graph of my blacks and whites, my darks and lights. So if I Bring this down, things are going to get brighter. If I go this way, things are going to get a little darker. So I'm going to kind of get a high contrast kind of going on there. I think that'll work for right now. So I'm just kind of making it so it's relatively a high contrast. Okay, sweet. So that's where I want to start with. And now when we looked at the Warhol picture, it was a very colorful kind of picture thing. And so we're actually going to do that, make something that's relatively colorful as well. You know, we already made our selection earlier, right? So that's how we cut out our my olive here. And so what I can do, because I've already taken the time to make that happen, I can actually go down to my mask that I used earlier. And if I hold down Control and click, it'll give me options, right? So I'm hitting Control, holding down Control, I'm clicking on my mask. So I'm actually going to do Add Mask to Selection. So what happens, right? So it brings back that exact same selection I made earlier. Now I'm going to go down to this world down here, which is a little hard to see, so I'm going to bring it up. So I have a handful of different options down here. So we have effects, we have the masks that we used earlier, we have like what I just call it like the Pokemon ball, which is adjustment layers, kind of what we were using up there, but a little different. Folders, create new layer, and the garbage, okay? So I'm going to go to create new fill layer. I'm going to say a solid color. So you notice it turned black. Even though I'm clearly using a color here, right? So like, what's going on? Well, I'll show you. If we look at this, these are our adjustment layers, okay? Our adjustment layers, whatever's below them, it's going to interact with, unless I click on this box. This box says it's going to link it. So now you can see there's a little arrow that says it's going to affect only this layer, the one it's linked to. Okay, so I'm going to do that again, right? Because I want that to affect just this section. All right, just this section. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to mess around with our blending layers, which are these things here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my picture of olive, and I'm going to adjust my blending layers. Each one of these are going to do something a little bit different. I'll be honest with you, I don't always remember what each one of them do because there's so many of them. I know in this section, it's what is black is going to remain, right? So you can see I go through these. The darks remain while we can see through the lights. The opposite's going to happen here. The whites remain while the blacks turn that color. Okay. In this section, it's more of like the two are kind of overlapping and overlaying with each other. This is like the opposites. Divide, that looks creepy. Hue is like a color. All right, so each one of these things do something a little bit differently. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do a, let's do a color burn. I lied. I'm going to do a multiply instead. Okay, so you notice because I used that same mask from before, right? I used my outline that I made before and turned that right into a mask. Okay, just in case you missed it. Ooh, sorry, wrong button. I held down Control, I clicked, I said Add Mask to Selection, and it created that mask. Right, and then in this world, solid color, and that's how I made that. Okay, And then here, I changed how it interacted, right? And I decided to use multiply for this one. And then Command D to deselect. Okay. Next, I'm going to make one more layer. And I'm going to actually go down to this world again. And I'm going to say a solid color. Yep. Actually, I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to go down here, down to this world. I'm going to go to solid color. All right, so with this one, you notice it's all white. And I'm actually going to pick, the color that I want to use for the background. So that works. I kind of like that one. Okay, so that's a solid color, just like that. So I'm going to say for this one, we're actually done, right? So we learned about masks. We learned about our adjustment layers deals down here. We learned about our adjustment layers up here, all right, and some of the different things that we can do. The thing that's really nice about adjustment layers, which I kind of brought up before, is that it's not actually affecting my picture. All of this stuff, I can super easily go back to where I started, right? It's not actually affecting it. If I turn that adjustment layer off, turn those off, we're back to where we started, right? My image isn't actually hurt or harmed or any of that stuff. It's all still there, right? So even if I make a mistake, it's super easy to go back to it, okay? All right, that's it. That's square number 1.